When the storage room door finally opened, everything went dark. The first thing that registered in Sophia's mind was the beeping, steady and mechanical, a harsh contrast to the suffocating silence of the storage room where she'd last drawn a breath. Her eyelids felt like lead, weighted down by exhaustion and the lingering fog of anaphylactic shock, but she forced them open, squinting against the bright white fluorescent light that flooded her vision. The air reeked of antiseptic, sharp and clinical, and when she turned her head slightly, a dull ache shot through her neck, radiating down her spine and mixing with the throbbing pain of her still-healing appendectomy scar. "Easy there," a soft, calm voice said. A nurse with kind eyes and a faded smile leaned over her, adjusting the four-drip snaking into her arm. "You've been out for 2 full days. We weren't sure if you'd wake up. Your airway was 90% constricted when the paramedics hauled you in. That's about as close to a death sentence as it gets without flatlining." Sophia tried to speak, but her throat was so dry it felt like sandpaper had been rubbed raw inside. The nurse handed her a plastic cup of water with a thin straw, and she sipped it slowly, the cool liquid trickling down her throat and offering a flicker of relief. "Where?" she managed to croak, her voice barely above a whisper. "Mercy General Hospital," the nurse replied, checking the monitor beside her bed. "We ran your info from your phone, tried all your emergency contacts first." Joel Graham answered once, said he was out of the country with your family and couldn't be bothered to cut the trip short, said to handle whatever it was and that he'd call when they were back. "Your parents and brother?" "No answer at all. We left messages, but not a single person's called back to ask how you are." Sophia closed her eyes, a cold numbness settling over her chest. She shouldn't have been surprised. This was the 100th time they'd chosen Yvette over her, only this time their choice had come with a death sentence. She'd spent her entire life craving their love, their attention, their smallest crumb of approval, chasing after a family that never saw her, never cared about her, never even bothered to remember she was allergic to mangoes. All the tears, all the begging, all the time she'd buried her own feelings to make them happy, it had all been for nothing. The girl they'd raised beside Yvette was never a daughter, never a sister, never a fiancée. She was just a shadow, a placeholder, something to push aside to make Yvette's perfect life shine brighter. The nurse left her to rest, and Sophia lay there, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing through the events of the past few days. The searing pain of her appendix bursting, the panic outside the operating room as she called every number in her contacts and got nothing but busy signals and ignored calls, Joel's text telling her to stop being dramatic, the way she'd signed that consent form alone with a heart that had already started to break. Then coming home to find Joel's arms slung over Yvette's shoulders, Joshua's cruel accusations, her mother pressing that mango juice into her hand like she didn't know it could kill her father screaming about her attitude, Yvette's fake sympathy with that smug glint in her eyes. The yank of her hair, the fall down the stairs, the storage room door clicking shut, the way their voices faded as they left for the seafood restaurant, Joshua's text banning her from Aurora Bay, the itching spreading over her skin, her throat closing up, the terror of knowing she was going to die alone in a dark closet while her family celebrated. She called 911 with trembling hands, barely able to gasp out her address before the world went black. For the first time in her life, she didn't cry. She didn't feel anger, didn't feel sadness, didn't feel the hollow ache of being unchosen. She felt nothing but a cold, unshakable resolve. Her plan to leave them for good, the one she'd hatched the day she signed that surgery form, wasn't just a distant dream anymore. It was urgent, it was necessary, it was the only way she'd ever be free. She wasn't going to beg for their love again. She wasn't going to let them hurt her again. She was going to disappear, and they'd only realize she was gone when they needed something from her, and by then, it would be too late. She stayed in the hospital for another week.